Well, let's get more on the conference and what it bodes for peace efforts with Deepak Tripathi. He's Honorary Research Fellow at the University of Roehampton. Now, in your opinion, what made the rebel coalition want to talk to Moscow after all this time? Why now?
I think the rebel coalition is deeply divided within itself, and it has tried very hard to dictate its own terms with support of the United States. But it has reached a point where it is tired, frustrated, and knows that it is very difficult to dislodge the Assad regime.
Is it significant that Moscow is actually talking to the rebel coalition, bearing in mind its perceived stance towards the Assad regime?
It is something of a diplomatic victory, in my view, for the Russians, who have been, at least publicly, consistently pressing for talks. And so far, the Russian requests for diplomacy have been rebuffed largely. And the Syrian opposition coalition has insisted on not having talks with the Russians, but that the talks have taken place between Mr. Lavrov and Moaz al-Khatib, the coalition leader, shows that there has been some flexibility on the part of the Syrian opposition coalition.
But you're saying that the coalition itself, the rebels, are fragmented. Just how much clout does that leader of the coalition have?
Not much, I would say, because he emerged as a compromise leader a few months ago under American pressure. The people who are actually doing the real fighting are Islamist fundamentalists who have entered the Syrian front from outside, as well as Syrians themselves in certain parts, largely Sunni Muslims, with the help of Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Some, I would say, an increasing number of defectors from the Syrian army who are trying to reach their own accommodations for the post-Assad era, if you like, and that always happens in civil wars.
Nevertheless, do you think the fact talks are now happening, that there could be some sort of glimmer of hope, sort of a breakthrough that we've been waiting for?
It's certainly a breakthrough. I don't know how far it will go, because just before the talks today, I think, and reports are still emerging, the American Vice President Joe Biden insisted that Assad must go. The Russian Foreign Minister, Mr. Lavrov, said exactly the opposite, in a sense that there cannot be any insistence from outside that the leader of Syria should go. This is not how a compromise will emerge in Syria. Mr. Lavrov also said something quite significant, which is that there cannot be an intervention by force to change the regime in Syria without the expressed approval of the United Nations Security Council. And that's where the real diplomatic battle will be fought if there is to be a change in Syria.
Deepak, really good to hear your thoughts on this. Deepak Tripathi, Honorary Research Fellow at the University of Roehampton in the UK. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.